I know why you're all here, because I'm going to narrate this. I'm going to ask Greg questions, so you're here, I'm sure, to hear me. I know better, you're not. You're here to see and hear the man who you invite into your home every day of the week, including Saturday night with the great Greg Gutfeld show. How many are watching it? Huh? Isn't it great? He's going to be on that. I want him back on Red Eye. I miss him on Red Eye. Speaking of Red Eye, he's got to leave today right after the book signing. We're going to do this in kind of a hurry because he's got a Red Eye tonight, not to go appear on the Red Eye, but to go back and be on the 5 tomorrow. So the main reason he's here is he heard, I don't know how, that it was Dawson Square Dance night. So I know they're going to do that a little later. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the 5, from the Fox News Channel, Greg Gutfeld. Welcome, sir.
How you doing?
Good.
Awesome. Thanks for coming. Did Dana Perino ever get a standing O?
No, we didn't. She just.
There you go.
Yeah. She spoke from the.
Without her dog, she's nothing.
Now, Greg, they got canceled Friday on the 5 because of all of the horrible events that took place. So he didn't get to deliver his monologue, which we all look forward to every day. So I asked him if he could do it here and start the program with that. So, Greg.
I changed my mind. No, actually, so what happened was because of the breaking news, oftentimes our shows get canceled. And I'd written this thing because I was so angry Friday night, and I was angry all weekend. And I'm always angry. But I was more angrier than ever. And so I wasn't sure if we were going to have a show. So I went in and I taped this monologue, and we didn't have a show. So I thought, I'm going to read it to you guys. And I might stop in between and add things because, maybe I can make it better. That's what I do. And I'm going to read it slower because unlike the 5, I don't have 4 people staring at me going, when is he going to shut up? You think I'm kidding, but it's like, oh, here comes the monologue from Greg. Oh, why is he so different? Why don't we have monologues? All right. This is kind of serious. That's why I'm making jokes. Okay. This Paris terror attack reveals a truth that many of us have known, but Western leaders have been refusing to admit. We are at war. Instead, we watch those elected to protect us transfixed by identity politics, fears of Islamophobia, and micro-fractional upticks in Celsius. It's all BS. As I've said before about terror, it's not a wake-up call if you go back to bed.
Great line.
It's not enough for temporary promises of solidarity or putting John Lennon's Imagine on repeat. It is a war that wants all of us. We no longer have the choice as a country of talking our way out of it like a skittish hostage in a bank heist. So we need 4 things. I like lists. I'm like Rick Perry. First, these are the things we need to beat ISIS. First, we need a leader. Someone who understands the threat, is happy to state it by name, and is ready to commit to its destruction. This is someone who understands the adult conclusions that steer national security and surveillance. Someone who understands that freedom and security coexist, they do not clash. This leader must have no truck with Edward Snowden unless he is tied up in the back of it. Sorry, libertarians. I'm a libertarian with a gun. This is a leader who knows that terror change, which is the increase in mayhem when wed to technology, trumps climate change. And this urgent global consensus devoted to warming must instead be transferred and focused onto terror. To track evil, we need coordination, communication, borders, sharing of intel, and a leadership that inspires the world. How easy is that for climate? How weird and how difficult it is for terror. I do not understand this. It makes no sense to me. Number two, we need a people. We need a country who pulls itself out of its own self-obsession, its politics of me. We need a unified citizenry, one that finally realizes the pleasant world that we've grown accustomed and used to denigrating is about to come to an end unless we act. Three, we need a media, a sober-minded industry whose priorities are based on authentic, not symbolic concerns. Enough of the solemn portraits of the whiny co-eds weeping about words that hurt. MSNBC did something yesterday. They opened up their hour, maybe it was 2 days ago, on online backlash to migrants. And I'm thinking to myself, how wonderful it would be if all of our violence was just online. What a lucky concern to have. Imagine if during World War II, instead of covering Hitler, you focused solely on the peekaboo bangs of Veronica Lake. That is the media. When they amplify campus crybabies over Islamic terror, they miss the story of their lives, and they risk our lives. 4, we need a defense, not just a national one, that goes without saying. And I don't mean private gun ownership, because that also goes without saying, and that is also a necessity in this new world. But what I mean when I talk about defense is I'm talking about an education in schools, a personal education that teaches self-defense that's needed when terror or mass shootings strike. I had earthquake practice in San Mateo. I didn't need it. This we need. We must make our soft targets harder through security, through barriers, but most of all, our mentality. That has to change. I say this not to judge others' responses when faced with terror. I have no idea how I would react in a situation like Paris, whether I would run and hide. I don't know. But I'm saying this regarding my own need to change my own personal behavior. As a citizen, I have to play a role in knowing how to stop something awful and be willing to sacrifice myself, because I know that the police, they can't be everywhere. They show up after it happens. SWAT teams and the military, they burst into these buildings knowing that one of their own might die. The passengers on Flight 93, they did the same thing. They did it because they knew it was their only choice. And it's time that we as a country accept that choice, because it really is the only one we have left.
So,
can I add something?
yeah.
So last night I was at a bar. I lie, it was an hour ago. But so I had this idea about reenactments and what we do for our kids every year. We always reenact things on special occasions. Like on Christmas, each year we do the nativity scene. I think I was the narrator, and then maybe I might have been a sheep. Thanksgiving, the kids, they reenact pilgrims and Indians giving each other thanks and smallpox. No, but give each other thanks. We always did that. We do this. We also, there are people that reenact famous battles. And I really do think that we have to start, there has to be a day that commemorates Flight 93. We need a ritual recreation of heroism to teach our young and to remind us of that heroism's value. How interesting would it be if there were a group of people that decided to reenact that fight on Flight 93 when a group of people decided that they were going to die, but rather than die their way, they were going to die their way. So, anyway.
Great. Now, Greg,
that's my idea, Sandy.
The 9/11 event changed America and the world dramatically.
Right.
Is Paris going to have that kind of impact on our country? It doesn't sound it with Obama saying today that it was a setback.
It worries me. Well, you know what worries me about this whole thing is on Saturday, I go on Twitter, and if you're on Twitter, you see the trending stuff. Number one was MTV Stars. This was 12 hours, 12 hours after Paris. MTV Stars. In fact, I don't even know if there was anything regarding Paris that was actually trending. And all Twitter is really just a bathroom wall of what sloppy people think about life. And it made me think that we are I always say this, we benefit from ocean privilege. Everybody talks about white privilege. We have ocean privilege. It's over there, but it's not over there, it's here. It's already here, and we know it's already here. And it's like we're just sitting here waiting to be woken up again. There's some positives that might come from this. The head of Interpol said something that I've been saying, and a lot of people have been saying for the longest time, and that is we cannot protect everyone. It's impossible to make all soft targets hard. You can't hire mass security for everything. We can't protect everyone, but we can protect ourselves. And this is what the Second Amendment is about. It really is. If you can't trust your government, if you can't trust your president, if you can't trust your government to separate you from what is dying to kill you, if they cannot keep the threat away from you, then it is incumbent upon you as a citizen, as I said in my monologue, to change your mentality, to arm yourself, and to arm yourself with knowledge, self-defense, and perhaps a weapon.
Now, you said in the monologue that one of the things we need is a strong president, a strong leader. Who might that be?
You know what's sad about this? Okay, let's eliminate the obvious, which is everybody on the debate last week. All right? None of them. O'Malley, he's a male model for the middle-aged Macy's ads. The other guy, Bernie Sanders, has been running for office since 1973. He knows, and when they asked him about terror, he dodged the question. He says, "Of course it's bad, but let's talk about inequality." Gone. Their leading contender is somebody who treats classified info the way Bill Clinton treated cigars. What are you going to do?
Good stuff.
This is a person who has absolutely no concept of how evil communicates and how important protecting your information is. I could go on and on. I mean, I'm not even going to bring up Benghazi, but if we bring it up, I will talk about the video. Yes. Do you want me to? Can I just point out something? It blows my mind how the left refuses to connect the dots about anything. So I did this experiment on the 5 because no one has ever done it in the media. What if Hillary Clinton was right that the video caused the terror attack? What if she was right? So what does it take for her to be right? So I worked through the steps. So this is how it works. Abdul and Abdullah, they're at home. He's a dentist. She's an accountant. They're wonderful people. They're looking at cat videos on YouTube. They like the ones with the cat smoking shisha. They find it hilarious. But they're law-abiding people. They're going to go do charity work later. But oh my God, they see this video on Muhammad. This video, and they go, I've never, ever committed a crime in my life. I've never done anything wrong. I am a law-abiding citizen, but this upsets me. Can I find like-minded individuals like myself around? Well, there's my friend, Muvava. He's a stock trader. I tell him about it. He's angry. Then my friend, the salesman, he's mad. And we go, we should go somewhere. Where do you go? Well, you know what? I think there's a consulate nearby. I normally don't do this because basically right now I'd be at work or I'd be doing my charity work or reading to my kids. But no, let's hop into my pickup truck and head over to this consulate that you seem to know a lot about. By the way, there's a cache of weapons. Where did those come from? You know what? We better get them off the road and take them with us. Oh, you know what? I have been, all my life I've been a good person, and it just feels really strange right now, but let's execute 4 people. And then, lo and behold, we are done. What do? Let's return back to our normal lives. Because we are not terrorists. We are just people that were upset over a video. Otherwise, we would have been home cooking dinner. But no, we got upset. And what a strange coincidence. We got upset on the anniversary of 9/11. How the hell does that happen? Every one of those dots had to be connected in order for Hillary Clinton not to be seen as a blatant, horrible liar. So, those three are gone. I look at the Republican field, I am chagrined, I feel sad because there are people like Lindsey Graham who are unique, eccentric individuals, but has the right idea. I think Chris Christie, because he's had to deal with terrorism in his own state, they've had plots foiled. He's an adult in the room. Rand Paul is not. I apologize to my libertarian friends, but that fantasy is over. You can say that, security impinges liberty, but grow up. That's not true. If that's the case, we wouldn't have cops. So shut up. The most articulate on this, I think, has always been Christie in terms of sincerity, and also Rubio, I think, is very strong on this as well. Trump about the borders, I would say, yeah, that's interesting, but I don't remember him bringing up ISIS when he was talking about the borders. He was talking about Mexico, and that's different. Last time I checked, it's not Christians from Mexico coming in here and blowing up our buildings. So there you go. That's my analysis.
Good.
Without
Thank
committing to anyone.
Yeah, okay, we got that.
Because I like not committing.
One of the maybe one of the positives of everything over the weekend was to knock off the campus unrest off the pages. So now the youngsters at Yale actually have to go to class in Claremont McKenna. I'm just thinking that probably tomorrow or the next day it's going to happen at your alma mater, Berkeley. Is that going to happen?
Well, it is. It is interesting. It reprioritizes anguish and suffering to see a group of people whining about words that may or may not have been said. Let's face it, there is no proof for a lot of the things they were talking about. And it turns out one of the guys that was accusing a passing truck of racial slurs also claimed that the KKK were on campus. This reminds me of the strange satanic ritual hysteria cases of the 90s, where they believed that these daycare centers, where all these people were doing horrible things, but there was never any proof. It's beautiful to see them exposed, but it's sad because they don't realize it. On Twitter and elsewhere, there was actually people from Missouri, the college, that was saying they're using a terror attack to minimize our own terror here. Yeah. But it's great. It's great. I think we should give them a sanctuary city. I really do. And and it should be absent of laws. It should be absent of care. Let them turn into Lord of the Flies. Let them see what happens.
Lord of the Flies.
Let them see what happens.
Yeah.
I had another point about that. The other thing that they don't understand is they conflate words with physical violence. That if you say something, it's just like getting hit, and that's why they need their safe spaces. Well, if that's the case, then it goes both ways, right? That physical violence is just like talking, and that technically, if I were to dump a bucket of cold water on them, that would be performance art. Like if I were to go there and start throwing eggs at them, that would be performance art, right? Doesn't that make sense? Let's do that tomorrow.
It would. Let's talk about the book a bit.
Sure.
How to Be Right, and he's going to sign it. He's going to sign it right after this, and by coincidence, we have it in our gift shop. So if you haven't already bought it, you can go out there and buy it, and he'll sign it for you. I notice a beautiful picture of you with your late mother in here, and you dedicated it to her, which I thought was very touching. Did she write the book?
Yes, she actually. I mean, that's an interesting question because, in a weird way, having children is like publishing a book. I look at it takes me 9 months to write a book. That's so funny because that'll be taken out of context. Man, misogynist compares book publishing to childbirth. No, they're right. Fox News host compares blah blah. But she produced a book, and it was me, and she produced 4 books, 4 children, and in general, like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my mother. She was somebody that recognized something in me that I didn't see in myself, and it happened particularly, probably by accident. I mean, I was in 2nd grade, and I was home with the flu, and my mom went to some San Mateo grocery store and bought a Mad magazine. And I don't know, if you're 51, Mad magazine is a thing that when you were young, opened your eyes to a world that you didn't think existed. It was a world without adults. And it was a world without advertisements. It was really strange. It was like, what is this? It's like you think they're real. It's like there's this episode of The Simpsons where Homer finds on Madison Avenue, or he finds the Mad Magazine headquarters, and it's just the way he thinks it is. All these crazy characters. That's the way you thought it was. It opened my mind to humor. I was a very shy kid, and it started making me write stuff, which is, now that I think about this, I was in summer school, and I did a puppet show based on Nixon and Agnew. It was the least funny thing ever. And me and this kid, Doug Ridgway, did it with puppets, but it was because of Mad Magazine, and nobody at that summer school had any idea what we were doing. None. But it was like something that all of a sudden I started thinking, and that led into like stuff like National Lampoon, which I fell in love with PJ O'Rourke was editing it. And I watched Monty Python on PBS. All of this stuff came because my mom saw that there was something that I was interested in. The way a father would see somebody who likes baseball. But for me, it was words and it was jokes. And she got me into writing. It's funny. It's like I was thinking about this the other day. Like, my hobby was, and nobody does this anymore, is crank calls. that was like the best thing. You can't crank call anymore because everybody knows. Nobody picks up their phone, and B, they can figure out who you are. But crank calling was like in the 70s. After school was the thing you did, and that was when I really knew that I liked jokes and pranks. Now, the upside to the fact that there are no prank calls is there's also no obscene calls. I had 3 older sisters, so I was aware of that whole phenomenon all through. I never understood what the heavy breathing was. I never did. I go there, there's a guy on the phone, and he's got asthma.
All right, let me come back to the book, if I may. You say that conservatives have to lighten up. Do we not have a sense of humor?
Oh, we do. I think that, look, P.J. O'Rourke was, in the mid-'70s when he wrote Bachelor Home Companion and then Republican Party Reptile. He was the first to notice.
He's been here.
Yeah, he's awesome. I just interviewed him a couple of weeks ago. He understood where the left was going and how humorless they were on campus. And he was the first guy to say, we're supposed to be the party of fun. The problem is we are adopting, at least people that I know are adopting certain habits of the left, which is to be shrill and to be angry. And every time you come off as shrill, you just buy Jon Stewart another house. Or a jacuzzi for Stephen Colbert. You know, I would say a pool for John Oliver, but he's British, so he probably can't swim. But anyway, the point is, every time we get angry, we become like them. I believe that facts trump feelings. You should always come armed with statistics and a punchline and a smile, and that's how you persuade people. The book is about it. The tagline is, it's not enough to be right. You have to be persuasively right. You have to, because you know what drives me crazy is when I'm with somebody who I agree with, but the way he or she elaborates on her idea makes me not want to agree with her. And it's like, you just ruined a really great point with that stupid, angry idea. It should be fun. You should be able to tell a story and get somebody who is uncommitted. It's not about confirming assumptions. It's about converting. And you only convert with a smile and with humor.
But you say that the book is a blueprint for banter. So you're putting real emphasis on words.
Yeah.
And you know you're a great wordsmith. How did you get to be so good at wordsmithing?
I worked for, this career was by accident. Where I am and here is essentially probably, it was not planned. And then I have a whole chapter in my book on my career to show young people that there is the only plan you have is to work. Take a job, work. Sometimes work for free, 3 months tops. Work. Because all I'm doing now is exactly what I did in homeroom at Sarah High School in 1981, which was sit in the back and go, shut up. That was what I did. And then when I got into magazines, I didn't realize I was preparing myself for Red Eye or The Five, but as an editor, I would sit and have meetings with people and talk about the news of, well, not really news, ab news, men's health, news of your abdomen. I think last month we found 6 ways to flatten your abs, Greg. But get this month I think we found 4. All right, that's good. Put four ways to flatten your abs on the cover, and then I was done for the day. But I would have a meeting, and I didn't realize that these things were preparing me for talking about stuff with people and trying to persuade. Writing magazine cover lines was a way to persuade people to buy a magazine in the shortest words possible. And part of the fun about writing isn't writing, it's editing. So when I write a monologue, for example, I'll write a monologue, it'll be about 1:45, and then I want to get it to 1:18, and I just sit there and I just change words, and I'm like obsessed over it, because it's like doing a Rubik's Cube for somebody who can't do one.
Now,
and that's me.
You do the monologue every day, and in the book or somewhere, I think you said you do it in the morning, working out naked in your neighbor's bathtub.
Yes.
And
but no longer, because apparently they came back from vacation and they weren't pleased.
But I think one of the best expressions that I found in the book was, conservatism is the 2 trees that support the hammock of liberalism.
Right.
How do you come up with stuff like that?
It's a 2-step process, or maybe 3. I think about the thing that I want to say, and then I think if there's another way to say it. So what I was trying to explain in that thing was that liberalism cannot exist without conservatism. And I use in the book, I think I use the minimum wage argument, that you have the left that's saying, we need a minimum wage at $15 an hour. In order for them to have that argument, you have to wait 5 years for conservatives to build a business, to sleep on the floors of their business, to not take a salary for their business, to deal with unruly employees for their business, to reach a point of success where in comes these liberals that say, you need to raise your minimum wage. Basically, they're the mafia in Priuses. They show up. So that process can't happen in reverse. They cannot demand things unless if the thing isn't there. So you need conservatism. What was that? You can still hear me, right? That was the mic, or the battery.
Yeah.
But you cannot demand something until that thing is built. So it's basically, I would say, the left is a barnacle on the boat of conservatism. But then I thought, it's like a hammock. It's like a hammock.
Yeah.
It's like you got to have the trees of conservatism in order for the liberal, to take a rest on your behalf. By the way, even liberals know this.
Now,
You got to live your life on conservative principles. Setting an alarm in the morning is a conservative principle. If you're a liberal, you'd be like, who's to say what time I should wake up? Really, is it? I could wake up at. Why are you telling me when to wake up? Well, you're going to be late for work, and I go, well, what's late? In your world, okay, late is 9:15. But in my world, it could be lunchtime. This is an unsafe space for me. And I need to go. I always try to talk, this is an example of using an exaggeration of liberal thinking, is that if you apply liberal thinking to practical life, it falls apart. And I used this example once about driving to work, and it might have been an uncool or joy I hate, is that you know how to get to work when you drive to work every day. It takes 15 minutes to get there. You don't take a way that takes an hour to get there. But a liberal would say that, well, you know what? Who's to say which one's better? And I go, well, you have this standard. You have this standard. You get there sooner. And I go, well, since when is getting there sooner better than later? So the only way the left can work is by questioning the actual standards that you have. That's the whole point. If they can question the traditions or the rules that you use to create your own life, then they win. So you always have to bring it back to them and go, this is absolute nonsense. This doesn't work in real life. And then hit them.
Right.
With love. With love.
I know some of you will have questions, but before we go to that, I'll ask the moderators to line up some questions. Raise your hands for them if you want to ask. But I want to talk about the 5 for a minute. And it is phenomenally successful.
Thank you.
What makes it tick so
Me.
well? Besides you.
I'm doing that because I know that this is being filmed, and I just want to upset the people on the 5. Originally, many people don't realize, it was originally going to be called the 1. And I said, look, you know what? I don't think it's fair. There are at least 4 or 5 other people at Fox who deserve a chance, not just me. Why don't we call it the 5 and have 4 other people join me? So they did. I hope that ends up somewhere so they see.
How do you prep for it? Do you all of you get together for croissants in the morning?
We all find a quiet room and we meditate. And we do falling exercises.
You do yoga together?
Yeah, we do a hot yoga, but then I'll fall and Eric will catch me. No, we don't talk at all. No, what I do is I go to the gym. And I get on the stair climber with this handy clipboard, and I have I pester the producers, and they go, what are the 5 topics? There's 6 blocks. What are the 5 topics? And I sit there and I watch and I just write, because the best thing when coming up with ideas for anything is distraction. If you sit down and you have to, if you say, okay, I need to write an essay on Benghazi, and you sit down, it's like forcing yourself to go to the bathroom when you haven't eaten for days. The best thing to do is you get up on the stair climber and you're working out. And what happens is it's just this other thing that makes you kind of you're not so focused, and all of a sudden this stuff kind of just pops up. I always believe that there should be something else going on that allows you to visit and then revisit, so that you take the stress and the pressure off yourself. Because the hardest part about writing is starting. And your own worst enemy, obviously, is yourself and MSNBC. But so I write my stuff. I write my monologue. It takes me about 10 minutes to write the rough of the monologue, and then I spend hours from 11 a.m. I go back and forth and edit it until I get it down. But it's usually the body of it is there. And then I bring my notes. If you ever watch Me on the 5, I have a splay of stuff like this, because I like to sit there and I like to be prepared. And I like to, as I say in my book, the book is all about how I write my monologue. That's where it came from, because people would ask me how I write my monologue, and I go, I need to write a book. It's about, the whole point of my monologue is to persuade people that I am right about one thing, and then to deliver that to everybody else. So that if you're in a situation talking about climate change or immigration, I have provided you with something that you can use, a serviceable weapon in a debate. That's what the whole book's about. It's just about being able to fight, but fight persuasively. So that's what I do. That's what I do. And then, Dana to my right, she is Lisa Simpson. She will do her homework and your homework.
Do we have a first question?
Yeah, our first question's in the center row.
Yeah, I'd like to know if, Mr. Gutfeld, if you and Mr. McGurk ever talked to Mr. O'Reilly or Mr. Miller about opening a forum on the road?
So you're asking me if I would be willing to go on the road with Bill O'Reilly. I have no follow-up. It would be fun. Bernie's a gas. I like how he has his glasses on his head, like he's got like invisible eyes up there. It's like an unusual space alien. It's weird.
We have our next question on the right.
Hi, Greg.
Hi.
My husband and I watch you every day, big fans.
I
Love
watch
your
you
show.
too.
It's,
Your husband's not aware of it, though.
it's kind of a complicated question. With all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world, which is obvious, one of the things that really disturbs me about right here is I just heard a stat the other day, 55% of our young Americans between the ages of 18 and 30 think that socialism is the way to go. And this, of course, is because we let the left-wing educational system brainwash several generations of children, and they majored in the continuing studies of why America sucks. Mm-hmm. So we have this whole group of people, young people, who think that America's responsible for all the evil, all the ills in the world. Where do we go from here?
Well, that's why this book was written, young lady. It is because we are outnumbered and outgunned. Government, media, and academia all disagree with you, and they pretend that they are the rebels. A campus activist thinks he's screaming at people that disagree with him. He's not. They're just saying, yes, 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 I'm sorry, I resign. There's no resistance there. The book is about a resistance, about like, okay, we know that we need to get this to people so they can argue and that students can argue. It's important, but it's a fact. And that's how they sell their ideas.
We have a question in the third row.
By the way, I saw the young guys in the band there shaking their head that they're not brainwashed over there.
And they look great in tuxes.
No, and because Chuck J is a Marine, so he keeps them in line. Stand up.
So I know how much you love to talk about Benghazi. Mm-hmm. It seems in the last hearing they had Hillary buy the short hairs. Mm-hmm. She admits
that's not an image I need to see.
So they've got.
You mean her hair? Okay.
I got it. So they have the absolute proof that she told her family, it was a terrorist attack. She knew it was a terrorist attack and the whole thing, and yet Trey Gowdy, nobody else, asked the question.
Yeah.
Your question.
Yeah, who pushed the video? It's always been that, but actually, I have to say, it's interesting, and I don't understand it. But I've been saying this for I don't know how many. Well, since it happened 3 years, and I've been saying it again and again and again. They seem to finally get it, but it's the question that goes right to the heart of the scandal. That she lied to families of the dead victims, and she lied to America, and the emails came out and showed that she had said something different to her daughter and something different to the Egyptian president at the time. She lied, and she knew she was lying, and that has always been if all you had to do was ask who pushed the video, and it would have taken you right there, and it took forever. And well, I think Rubio did. You know, Rubio talked about it in the debate. But you know what? I don't know. I have no idea. I've given up. No, I haven't.
We have a question towards the back.
Hi, I'm a public high school teacher nearby. And,
My condolences.
I'm obviously in the minority, and one thing I try to do with my students, I have a lot of advanced students, is to try and find common ground when debating the issues with them. What's your opinion on how much common ground you should try to find with your opponent when debating?
I always think that you should be open to be proven wrong, and you again with humor, you don't you actually people like to talk to you, and it should be fun, and you should keep it fun. But I always claim that I'm willing to be wrong. And but unfortunately, it never happens. But anyway, I don't say, for example, with climate change, I don't say, oh, it's a hoax. I say, I have read a lot. I read a lot of the studies, and there's a lot of contradictory evidence. There are things that make me think maybe man is contributing to infinitesimal increases in Celsius, but at the same time, I'm seeing stuff that's saying it could just be a % of error. And that we've been flatlining, and we might be heading into a different a colder time. But by saying that, at least I'm saying, all right, I'm not dismissing you out of hand, even though they might do that to you. You shouldn't do that to them.
We have a question towards your right.
Thank you.
This has to do with the 5. Excuse me. I think Juan Williams brings a fair and balance to the 5. And I also like the way he argues his position. Have you found yourself in a position where you have agreed with him?
Oh, there's a lot of things that Juan and I agree on. I think he's really fair-minded about how I think our domestic problems are in cities and black-on-black crime. He is very strong on that stuff. But I guess I would call him a traditional old-school liberal, meaning he's not totally crazy. And he's just a sweet guy. And he's a great writer, too. People forget that he's a great writer.
We have a question right here.
Yes.
Mr. Gutfeld.
Yes.
Hey, I happen to be a fan of Donald Trump, believe it or not.
There you go.
I know a lot of people in the media are having a laugh. I honestly think if by chance he was elected, that the people that are laughing on Capitol Hill, they'd probably be shaking in their boots. I honestly believe that.
Okay.
What are your honest thoughts on Donald Trump's candidacy?
Well, first of all, I consider him a friend of mine, so I have to say that. He was one of the earliest, strongest supporters of Red Eye. Donald Trump would call me about episodes of Red Eye. I'm not joking. And it was like, Donald Trump's on the phone. He wants to talk about last night. And it was such a great thing. I'm going like, and when I talked to him, the reason why Donald Trump is successful is because he eschews all jargon. He doesn't talk, it's the language of the bar, and it's a language that people understand. I do think that he is repetitive, and I say this on the 5, as a friend, he is missing the guardrails of criticism. When there are people that jump on this bandwagon and do not tell you when you're screwing up, you screw up. So I sit there and I am constantly critical of him because I actually like him. I'm not like somebody who just wants to be popular and be right and be friends with a celebrity, which, believe me, fuels a lot of this. A lot of people just want selfies with him, but I want to see him get better. He really pissed me off about the McCain stuff, and I don't care if you think McCain is a rhino. I don't think politics play a role in a guy who was a POW for many years and actually denied his ability to leave. And I think that joke was bad. And I said that, and my point about Trump was, if he's going to say that about a POW, what else could he say? And are you okay with him saying it? I like to think when I say something, he might go, yeah, he's got a point. Maybe I need to think about specifics. I liken Trump to a classic rock band that is going across country and has 3 big hits. You know, immigration is his free bird. Right? China is his stairway to heaven. And these guys are all idiots. That's his Sweet Home Alabama. The problem is, it's great to play your big hits, but you also have to expand. And when he doesn't expand, he ends up becoming incredibly repetitive. Everything's going to be great. Everything's going to be wonderful. You got to be more than that. And also, why he's working is that the one thing I do like about him, he's improvisational. He gets up there and he doesn't mind jumping off the cliff. And when you jump off the cliff, sometimes it's magical, but a lot of times it's bad. But at least he's jumping off the cliff every time he opens his mouth. He might say something that is so wrong and so right.
We have a question in the second row.
Hi, Greg. So what materials do you recommend for a boy who's 8 today?
I suppose you mean reading materials. I'm sorry.
It's
Not really, though. Gosh, when I was 8, I was reading Hardy Boys. Do people still read the Hardy Boys? No? Well, it means something else. But I'm not sure if this is for an 8-year-old. My book is about how to be persuasive. You could probably read it when he's about 11 or 12. I don't know what to tell an 8-year-old to read. I don't have an 8-year-old unless it's drinkable. You've stumped me. Tell him. I guess I could tell him what not to read. Keep him off the internet.
We have a question in the fourth row.
More of a comment, Greg. As a fellow native of San Mateo, I went to Notre Dame High School and graduated from Notre Dame University. And because
was it Carmont? Ralston.
Yes, in Belmont.
I was your Easter bunny I'm not kidding, in 1983, I was your Easter bunny at Notre Dame. You weren't born. But I went there as Easter bunny and had pictures taken at Notre Dame.
I gotta look for those pictures. But I just want to say, you know what? People like you have inspired me. I've gone on to I'm a political science and history major. Graduated valedictorian of my class. People like you give me the confidence and the spirit to keep going. Knowing that there are conservatives out there like you and you're such an inspiration to me. And as a conservative 27-year-old woman, I gotta say, they need to make guys like you in mass production.
Oh, thank
if you weren't married, I'd snatch you up.
I'm blushing. San Mateo. Anybody else from San Mateo? Great city. Amazing city. Yeah, well, I went to my high school. Tom Brady. Barry Bonds used to sit behind me and cheat off me in Spanish class. At Sarah High School, he would kick my chair. He was a year older than me, not very bright.
But he confesses in the book, he's in the 7th grade, and I guess he's bored in class. So what does he do? He lights firecrackers, throw them off, and spent the next semester.
Well, it was. I don't know why I did it. It was stupid, but I ended up. They sent me home for the remaining 2 weeks of school, and then I came back as student body president. But they couldn't expel me. They couldn't expel me because I was going to be the student body president for 8th grade.
Yeah.
So they let me go home, and it was that's the whole thing about this whole idea of punishing students by walkouts. It's like I got 2 weeks off for lighting firecrackers, and I got to read more magazines.
Now, I'm going to ask the last 2 questions, okay? We have Juan Williams. You were just talking about Juan. He has a book coming out called We the People, and he's booked.
It's about incontinence.
He is booked here April 18th at 7 o'clock on this very stage, if he gets this huge crowd, as Greg always does. My question is, should we cancel him?
Yeah. You know what I like about Juan? He always prefaces every comment on the 5 with, I don't know what's happening at this table.
Yeah. And
He always says, I'm sitting here and I'm listening and I'm going, who are these people? But you know what? You know what it is? It's a very good psychological prep he's thinking of what he's about to say. So you got to figure out a way, like you do this while you're going, okay, part of your brain is going, I need an answer. So you do this other thing like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
All right, the last question is, we have these attractive mugs up here.
Yes.
And they're, what would Nixon do, a question on it. What's your answer to that? If he was president today, with everything that happened over the last week, what do you think he'd be doing?
He would move to China.
All right.
They would understand him.
All right.
They wouldn't. He's literally, if he was in a time machine and came to 2015, it would be like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure when George Washington showed up. He'd be like, what's going on here? He would literally be like, what happened?
You're all VIPs to us. I want to introduce 2 of them real quick. General Mel Speece, who was the Deputy Commanding General of the 1st Expeditionary Marine Force at Camp Pendleton. General. There. General Pease, right there. And our good friend of the foundation, Ruth Ann Segerstrom Moriarty, and her son Don. She's a faithful attender here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. We have a gift for you. Please thank Greg Gutfeld for coming tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
To give you
you don't have to stand up. When you're sitting, it's like standing for me.
To give you inspiration in some of your writing, I'm giving you 2 leather-bound books of Richard Nixon's memoirs.
Awesome.
And I hope they take a place in your home library.
Well,
Thank you
my
for
home
coming.
library is a bathroom. So.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. Thanks
you.
all of you. God bless you and God bless America.